Over the last couple of months, we've gotten a bunch of new information about the announced Disney Plus Marvel shows. So today I'm going to stop and rank all 8 announced Disney Plus Marvel TV shows based off of my excitement. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and nerdy stuff way too much. If you can relate, you're probably in the right place to consider clicking that subscribe button. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Share your ranking of these upcoming Disney Plus Marvel shows based off of your excitement. My list isn't the right list, it's just my list, and I would love to see yours. With that said, let's get started. Easily coming in last place for me is Loki. This is a project I absolutely do not want because they killed off Loki in a meaningful way in Infinity War. So the idea that they're bringing him back, I think, just removes all of the teeth and the stakes from the MCU. It's one of the problems with the MCU is that characters never really die. They always find a way to come back. And Loki is one of the most extreme examples of that. And they're doing it once again. He's also a character that he works best playing off against all of these other characters because you can't trust him. So making him the lead of a show simply doesn't seem all of that interesting to me. Even looking at the head writer that they got for the show, he doesn't have any credits that stand out to me that make me interested in what he would do with Loki. The only thing that's mildly interesting is that it is about him kind of traveling through time using the Tesseract, and it will tie into Doctor Strange too, and everything they're kind of doing with the multiverse and everything. That's mildly interesting, but since they're already doing that with so many other things, that's not even unique. Number 7, She-Hulk. This is another one I'm not terribly excited about for a number of reasons. First off, just in general, She-Hulk isn't a character that sparks my interest at all. Anytime they do a character that it's like, hey, it's like this popular character except a girl, I just would rather them come up with an all-new, fresh character if you want a girl superhero, rather than doing the girl version of an established character. So right off the bat, she's not terribly interesting to me, and it never has been. Second thing, I don't really know how you do Hulk on a TV show budget. The inherent nature of the character is that Hulks are hulking and powerful and able to smash things, and that requires expensive CGI and big threats. Obviously, they did the TV show back in the late 70s, but the inherent nature of that is not what Hulk means in the MCU. So I don't even know how you do this as a TV show. And then on the third level, and this isn't necessarily a criticism, it just isn't something that necessarily excites me. I don't know the actress that they cast as She-Hulk recently, Tatiana Maslany. She's someone that I think I've seen her in a few things, but she's not someone that immediately stands out to me. So this is just another one of those projects that I'll check out because it's in the MCU, but doesn't specifically interest me. Number 6, Wandavision. Now, this one is just around the corner. It's the first of these Disney Plus shows that we're going to get. We've even seen a trailer for it, so we've got a pretty good tease and taste for what they're going for. And even though we have the most information about it, I still really have no idea what this show is going to be, and that's really my concern here. On the one hand, I'm very excited that they're going bananas with this show. On the other hand, I'm very nervous that they're going bananas with this show because, like, you just watch the trailer and it's a mixture of obviously them going into his head or whatever to play out all of these sitcoms from the various decades while kind of having this spy conspiracy stuff going on and Vision in the afterlife. It's weird. It is the weirdest thing we've seen inside of the MCU yet, which has me very curious, very nervous. I can't say that I'm actually excited for what they've done, but I am curious. In 5th place, Miss Marvel. Now, this is a character that I had very little knowledge about until about a year ago, and the character is playable in Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3, so I played the character a little bit there and learned about her, and then she's basically the main character in the Marvel Avengers video game that came out a couple months back, and therefore I learned most of my knowledge about the character from playing that game, and it kind of actually significantly did increase my interest in in this particular show because it gave me an idea of what it will be and how it can be an interesting addition to the MCU in a way that I feel complements it. Given that the character is a teenager and the actress that cast to play her is a teenager, you can kind of assume there'll be some similarities in tone to the Spider-Man movies and certain similar arcs in having this character on a journey similar to that of the teenager discovering their powers and going into this world of superheroes. And that's kind of interesting to me. And it makes me realize, like, of all these projects they announced, they're very different. And this one is kind of like the high school one. Now, looking into the showrunner that they got for the show, she has very few credits.
Not a great plan.
And so it doesn't really give me any sort of idea what the show will be. So I'm not crazy about that particular aspect, but I did enjoy the character in the Avengers game just a couple months back, and maybe it'll be cool. Number 4, what if? If you don't know what this series is, essentially with each episode, they take some element of the MCU and they ask, what if we changed this detail? So what if Peggy Carter actually got the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers, and thus she became Captain America? And then it kind of goes through a series of these. This is based off an old run of comic books that I know I read a whole bunch of them back in the day, and they would run these what if scenarios, and they're bringing in all the voice talent from the MCU to voice their characters in all of these Elseworld type scenarios for the series, and that's just immediately interesting. It's inherently kind of fan fiction-y to just be like, what if we changed this? But at the same time, it's fun to explore these different options. So as someone that did read a bunch of what if comics back in the 90s, I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with this. Real quick before we go into my top 3, remember to share your ranking down below in the comment section. There is no ranking here. Mine certainly isn't the right list. It's just my list, and I would love to see yours and also your reasons why. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, I did do a video where I ranked the upcoming MCU films based off my excitement just a couple months back. You can check that out right up here once this video is done. In 3rd place is Hawkeye. This one gets a high placement on this list simply because I want to see more of the character Hawkeye. He was kind of well known for being the Avenger that got shortchanged in the first 2 films, especially the first film. And then even in Age of Ultron, when they use him, it's more kind of his family dynamic that makes him interesting. And they make a lot of jokes about how he makes no sense in this universe because he's just a guy with a bow and arrow, which is pretty true. And then you get to see him in Ronin on this redemptive path, and they leave it in a place where, like, you want to see more of this character. And I think he lends himself really well to television. The simple fact of the matter is, characters that require big, gigantic bad guys, enormous amounts of CGI, that's tough to translate to television and pull that off well on a TV show budget. Guy with a bow and arrow that's a spy, that's pretty easy to pull off on television. Add to that, they want to do the kind of Kate Bishop storyline. There's a lot of speculation that Haley Steinfeld was going to get the part. Never really sealed the deal. Don't really know what's going on there based off the research that I've done. And so seems like there's some interesting stuff there that I would like to see them explore with this character, and I can just envision what the show will be. Likewise, the showrunner is someone that worked on the show Mad Men for a number of years, wrote a bunch of episodes for that show. That was a highly acclaimed show from the previous decade. So they're bringing in a strong writer to lead the show. So naturally, I just have a good vision for what this will be while not even knowing much about it yet. Our runner-up is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, of the projects they've announced, this one feels the safest to me. It's very much a spiritual successor to Winter Soldier as well as Civil War. You got Baron Zemo returning, Sharon Carter, and a bunch of other kind of these side characters that were in that duo of Russo brothers films. And so this one feels like a safe bet while also giving a couple side characters an opportunity to be in the spotlight. And when you put all those elements together, it just feels like a show that has a lot of potential to be safe, but very enjoyable and a welcome addition to the MCU. Probably not going to break a whole lot of new ground. It's not going to turn the world upside down, but it's going to add some depth and follow a formula that has worked inside of this universe. Whereas I'm really not excited about the Loki series because obviously he's dead, and the character just seems so defined by his relationship to Thor. In the case of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they are characters that can exist on their own. They can go on their own journeys and had their own adventures like outside of what they did with Captain America. And so I like the fact that we're going to get to explore that with these films. I also like action shows. I like spy shows. Obviously, Civil War and Winter Soldier are two of the best MCU films. And so pretty much everything about this one feels like something I'm really going to enjoy. Safe, but safe isn't always bad. But in first place at the moment, it is Moon Knight. Now, this is a character I knew very little about until once again about a year ago when the character popped up in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, the expansion pack for it. Now, I'd seen the character, I'd heard little blurbs here and there about he's sort of like Marvel's Batman, except with a number of twists. So inherently that was a little bit interesting to me. And then they announced they were going to do a Disney Plus show based off the character. So piqued my interest even a little bit more. And then yesterday it was announced that Oscar Isaac is in talks for this role.
Excellent!
And that immediately changed my entire perception of this show. One, because it just made it more tangible, like, oh, this thing's really happening. And second, Oscar Isaac is someone that is kind of at the top of the world right now. And of all the projects he could choose to entertain, this is one that he's actually exploring. Yesterday, I did a video with my buddy Griffin Schiller where we talked about this announcement for about 30 minutes. You can check that out right up here for my full elaborated thoughts on why I'm excited about all of this. Like, my excitement level for this show just went through the roof of the possibilities with the storytelling, the nature of the character, what it could mean for what they're trying to do with these Disney Plus shows. Going back to what I mentioned before about like with Miss Marvel kind of probably having a high school vibe to it, the inherent nature of this character being someone that has multiple personalities and a very dark past. It's a much more adult show. Then you have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the spy show. And then you have one that's based off of sitcoms. They're doing a bunch of different stuff. And so when you start piecing all that together, I started getting a lot more excited about the potential for all these Disney Plus shows. And the one that seems most designed for me based off the character now that I'm learning about him, the actor who's actually interested in it, and that they are going after an actor of his caliber, of his kind of prestige and popularity for this part, has me very, very interested in this show. So Moon Knight comes in at number 1. If you want to see my ranking of my excitement for the upcoming movies, check that out right up there. If you want to see my full thoughts on this Moon Knight announcement, check that out right over there over on the Film Speak channel. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.